All right. Okay.
And
All right. I'm gonna
yeah.
go to gallery. Good. All right. Well, welcome. If you have any questions, just let me know. I think so. We're going to go for 5 minutes. I can keep the time. And the topic is one thing, Edwin, that now that I think about it, then it's like if something else is working you other than the topic, selected, you're totally entitled to go into that. And so, yeah, Marianne?
Just before we start, I'm really sorry, but I don't remember, and it really helps me to place people. So,
Sure.
Kevin and Ava, I don't remember where you are.
Oh, sure. You want to give
We are all in Canada.
Excellent. So
sorry, Bill. No offense, but
no, you're fine.
So Ava, where are you?
Toronto.
Toronto, and is it Guelph?
Guelph, yeah.
Guelph and Toronto. Okay, and I'm Calgary. Excellent. I'm excited.
Okay. All right. I'm outnumbered here. All right. Yeah, I know that. Yeah, there'll be toxic niceness. I know.
Sorry.
So, all right. So welcome. I know Ava and Kevin. I think Marianne. Is this your first circle? Empathy?
No, I was in the one last Friday.
Okay, great. Well, let's just. The topic is how might we do kind of an empathic direct action and outreach. Does anybody would like to start? And I don't know. Kevin, yes, all right. Yeah.
I could be starting, but I might be a little bit off topic, so maybe I'd be best if I go a little bit later.
Oh, okay, whatever people feel comfortable with. The other thing I just want to say is that sometimes, people feel that it's like, how well do I remember? And so remember, it's not a contest about memory, but if somebody goes on, I can do it too. Just, stop. We didn't get it. We correct. If I personally am doing something or the listener is not reflecting correctly, please feel free to say, no, I mean this, this or that. I just find that that's, for me as a listener, that's very helpful. So again, it's more about building bridges than demonstrating any specific skill. Okay, nobody wants to start?
Well, I'm off the topic too. So if Marianne, if you're in the topic, maybe you should go, or maybe we should start going off the topic.
Well, okay, I don't mind starting.
Okay, great. Who would you like to speak to?
Very short. I think I'll speak with you, Bill.
Okay.
And it's more that I have questions. Okay. And so one question that comes to me, I'm thinking, so the question is that we're asked here is, how do we design direct actions for empathy circles in XR? So there's two things I see challenging. One is the empathy circle. Mm-hmm. Sadly, okay, so there's that, and then the XR is a challenge too.
Okay. So let me see if I got. So basically, you're thinking about this, and you're thinking you have questions, which also seem to equate with challenges. And one is the empathy circle itself. I assume, bringing that out on the street, and then the other one is XR itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I'm very excited about this. Like I know this is a passion I have. Mm-hmm. I'm so thrilled to find people that I can work with, and this is me usually. All the people I work with pretty much are in the South. I brought up I'm relating this to a couple of friends. One is, she's a colleague. She graduated with me. I have a master's of, well,
Mhm.
sorry, I'm remembering this is recorded. So that changes things a little for me. But anyway,
Okay.
let's just say that I brought this up with a couple of people who are friends to me and who I just um, completely assumed because of who they are and
Mhm.
what they value that they would be interested and well, they're interested to hear me, but they're not like quick to think what a great idea. One said, uh, I have enough empathy. I have enough empathy. I don't want more empathy. I want to live my life. And so, yeah, I'm okay. I'm listening. And I think what she meant is that that she's involved already in a lot of groups. So I said, oh, okay, so you're kind of full. You already have this. That's what she says. I already have. I don't need more. You already have this kind of resource, and what you need more of in your life is something different now. She didn't say that was wrong, so that's the other one um, said how I don't believe in separating empathy from the rest of my life. I don't think I said that, but regardless, I felt kind of like pushback. So it's that could be the idea, could be me, could be the way maybe I'm too strong. I don't know, but I was surprised there.
Mhm. Okay. So you mentioned this to several friends who basically share your philosophical views, and you thought they would be excited about them, but essentially that they weren't. One said, I have enough empathy, feeling that her work with group equated to empathy, and then she had a certain empathy limit, and that had been as if empathy is a very well-defined cognitive thing. Um, and then the other one was had a more integrative. Said I don't believe in separating empathy from my everyday life. So I just practice empathy in everyday life.
Thank you very much for reflecting that. I like to hear my words simplified, and you brought something
Right.
a little different. You added to it. So that's one thing. It's going to be more difficult than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I went to a Climate Hub meeting last night, conversations. They're promoting conversations in neighborhoods. And one of the organizers is excited. So I'm thrilled about that. And we
Mm-hmm.
might try to use it when we go back to they go back to the neighborhoods. I'm kind of new with Climate Hub too. I'm not one of the organizers. Um, we might use it to try and get ideas from the neighborhood. That would be marvelous. So number 2 challenge
Mm-hmm.
is the XR. Calgary, I don't know if you know anything about Calgary, Bill.
No.
Okay, Calgary is Canada's Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and um, it's hanging on to the oil and gas industry for dear life.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big thing going on right now trying to get pipelines to the coast
Mm-hmm.
and protests. Um, and our city is just, it's, um, it's been dependent, and it still is dependent because
Mm-hmm.
that's the mindset. So to even say this empathy circle
Mm-hmm.
is brought to you by Extinction Rebellion, um,
Mm-hmm.
Futures for Children has a nicer ring to it.
Okay. So I'll have to. Great. So let me reflect. We've been over a little bit. That's fine.
Sorry.
That's no salesman will come to your door. Um, and and so I'll reflect that. And then if you think of something very short that you'd like to, you kind of like summarize or something like that, that's fine too. So you were talking about the two problems were like your friends, but then you went to another hub on discussion hub, and one of the organizers was very enthusiastic about the idea of the empathy circle. And so that might be used as a tool. And then the other thing that you're thinking about as far as XR is concerned is that the pushback on the XR brand, especially in Calgary, where people's lives are dependent and the economy is dependent on the oil and gas industry. And so that colors their views and stuff like that. So how do you basically approach them and not make them feel threatened?
Right.
Anything else?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Okay.
I used so many words.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing's perfect. All right, Kevin. Fire them up there.
Okay.
Fire up those ears.
Right.
Okay. All right. So a couple of things. So I guess I want to respond to Marianne, because I've been doing this, and I've been talking to XR people for a while, and I've encountered some of the same sort of pushback that she has, and I'll stop there. Or that she mentioned. Yeah. So you want to reflect that, Kevin?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So well, I hear you saying, Bill, that you come across the same resistance that Marianne maybe have been exposed to as well when talking about empathy circles or Extinction Rebellion. Is that correct?
That's correct. And so probably it's common enough. So I know I also was hearing Marianne wondering about, whether her pitch, she came out too strong or this or that. And so probably that's not it. From what I've seen, these things are common enough so that any particular, variation in intensity and stuff then would not, that didn't generate that. That's something that's common. All right. Kevin's gone. All right.
There he is.
There.
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
Bill, I've had just a slight emergency with my dog. I
Oh,
need
no
to
problem.
step-
Would you like me to switch over and talk to Eva while you take care of it?
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Sure.
I'll be right
Okay.
back.
All right, Eva, can you pick us up there on the run here?
I should be able to, but
Okay.
I might. All of a sudden, I don't remember anything now.
Well, that's all right. We'll
I
start.
was listening, really
start.
listening.
No, I know. Fresh start.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I was reflecting what Marianne was talking about and the resistance that she's seen. And I've seen that as well. And then I just said that, so probably the resistance that she encountered was not due to her presentation as much as it is to very common themes that exist for people. And we've talked a lot about the issue of people just don't have enough time, and then people just also don't want another meeting in their lives. Mm-hmm. So I'll stop there.
I hear you reflecting, processing Marianne's experience with XR and the resistance she has been facing is also familiar to you with your experience. And I hear you saying you're not sure if people don't have enough time or they have other reasons, but bringing the subject to XR is not always easy.
Yeah.
With your experience too.
Yeah, people interpret it in their own way.
So in a way, like you are facing kind of like the same, you have been facing kind of like same issues with Marianne.
Right, and that meant, and so I'm just trying to think, it's like when you're trying to present something, is it, and that's a worthwhile thing. I always I like to think, at least I like to think I self-evaluate. I just like tell myself that in polite company. So I think that probably that, so, so probably wasn't Marion's presentation. So the other thing is that I feel like I'm a little bit like the Baron von Steuben of the empathy movement here. Baron von Steuben, for those who, was the Prussian general who came to Valley Forge and basically shaped them up, the American colonists' army, so that they could then fight and win. And he and I don't want anybody to fight. So the analogy breaks down there. But I do kind of have a vision, and so I'm just letting my energy flow, and people can laugh at me if they want. But I basically think that we've got this. It's not that hard, and so I'm looking to not overthink it, and make it simple and accessible. And my time is up, so I'll stop there.
Okay. Taking notes are always helpful for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like I hear you relate a lot with Baron von Steuben of XR, and in a way that you don't want to fight Americans.
Right. Yeah, right. No, anybody. I don't want to fight anybody.
Yeah. But you want to be out there with who you are in the simplest way, and not overwhelming, accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Also in peace with people if they want to laugh at you, but I hear you saying we got this. So as long as, I deeply hear you saying, as long as you are sure of what's happening and what you are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will laugh, some people will just make you feel like you are fighting, but you're not looking for a fight. You're looking for a simple way of expressing yourself on XRL.
Yeah, just expressing, doing the empathy circles.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the main reason, the serious thing, is that I really trust the process.
Okay.
And that's it.
So yeah, the main reason I
Mm-hmm.
hear you saying is your trust to the process.
Yes.
And empathy circles.
Yes. Thank you. I feel fully heard, Ava.
Thank you. So Kevin, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Hope everything is okay with your dog.
Good. Everything's fine. Thank you.
Okay, that's nice to hear. So I am mostly into empathy circles, especially these days. And Bill, you know why. We will be hosting an empathy circle, an online empathy circle here in Toronto as part of a book club, Toronto Philosophy Meetup Book Club, this Sunday. So it's going to be the first meeting. We usually meet in downtown Toronto, and it's usually, we have a lot of members, but it gets to be 10 or 15 people, but only face to face. So this will be our first online meeting. Was that too much? Was that too?
No,
Okay.
if I hear you saying that you're going to be doing an empathy circle this Sunday with your book club, which is a philosophy book club, and you'll have 15 people in this empathy circle. Am I hearing you correctly?
Yeah, like the Toronto Philosophy Book Club is a big group of people. It's an online group, but we meet in person. So it's like 4,000 members, but when we get together, it's like 10 or 15 people discussing various philosophical subjects. but we never had an online meeting. So it's going to be, there will be 2 new things. Our first online meeting and our first empathy club. And I am sort of like in the center of attention because I suggested that, and I've been talking about it too much. So Bill, while I was listening to you, I said, okay, people can laugh at me too. So I will be okay with that after this Sunday, but I have kind of like almost an anxiety on what's going to happen this Sunday.
So I hear you saying, Eva, that this, you have 2 new things that are happening within your group, one being online meeting and the other one being a empathy circle face-to-face that's happening soon this weekend. And you have some anxiety because you are the one that's going to, by the sounds of it, be helping to facilitate, or been one that's been recommending it to the group. So you are the center of attention now. So I guess that's a new thing for you.
Yeah, and the part that really motivates me, actually gives me that really nice, good serotonin and dopamine, is my experience with Empathy Cafe, because after discovering about the empathic conversation with an empathic agenda, I feel in myself, in my heart, that I am looking for more empathy to receive and to give. So I want to put that into action more with organizing more empathy circles.
So I hear then that, Eva, that you're, I guess, you also agree with the, or trust the process in the empathy circle, and therefore you think it's a good tool to use, and you want to have more and share more empathy in your day-to-day life. Am I hearing you correctly?
Exactly. Thank you. I feel fully heard. Thanks, Kevin.
Oh, Kevin?
My turn now, Bill?
Yeah. Who would you like to speak to?
I will speak with Marianne.
Okay.
Marianne, Calgary, and the it's been a very dynamic few days in our country. I'm extremely excited by it, based on the fact that there's a rising that's happening across Canada right now that's in support of the Wet'suwet'en protest at the pipeline. I'm really excited by that. I'd like to see how empathy circles could be part of that process. However, you know, it's a big mountain to climb right now, of course. But you know, I'm so excited about how we've, in less than 48 hours, we've gotten, you know, the frontline protest. We've got the out where Eastern Ontario. I think we've got a total of 6. I think there were 6 railway blockades yesterday, as well as some rolling traffic blockades and such across Canada as well. Do you see any of that in Calgary, if I can ask?
Okay, well, I hear your question. But first I want to reflect that you're excited to see this rising up right now. It's a very important time in Canada. And you're excited to see the way our country is responding, and that there are 6 blockades of pipelines. And you'd like to bring empathy to this, but it's like it's a big endeavor. And you're curious if I see the action here in Calgary. And just to answer that, yes, there are people overnighting in front of the municipal hall, and people are being asked to support them. Well, they're out in the cold, and we're asked to support them with food and such. Did I get it?
Yes, I'm heard and lost and at a loss for words right now. But yes, thank you.
Would you like to sit with that loss for words and take your time with it?
Yes, please. I'm heard for now. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so just to clarify, Kevin has 1.5 minutes left. If he wanted to sit just in silence for a little bit and then come up, if something else came up for you, that's fine. Or you have the right to pass. You don't have to take the 5 minutes. You can say, okay, I'm done, like Kevin. I kind of heard Kevin do that. See, I'm sorry, Kevin, go ahead.
I'll add that, ironically, while our Prime Minister is in Africa trying to weasel his way back into the UN Security Council, that his Royal Canadian Mounted Police are tearing people off of their land. And it's happening at the same time when, he's down there actually trying to get voted back into the UN Security Council. I find it bizarre, and in the context of where we are today, I asked one very, very important question about this Indigenous support of this pipeline. And the question that I always ask is, if there was true reconciliation, if there was self-determination and reconciliation that was brought to pass with Indigenous support and Indigenous design, would there ever need to be Indigenous support of any extractive technology or any extractive industry, period? There has been some words on media and in the news about how there is Indigenous support. I'll finish up real quick though. How there is Indigenous support and there is Indigenous that do not support the pipeline. It all goes back down to if there was no financial support, if there was nothing financial coming out of the pipeline, would there ever be any Indigenous support for that? That's it.
So you're just questioning that if we were truly reconciled, and so much that even our government was reflected true reconciliation, would this be an issue? Monetary would be a big deal. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's exactly my thought. Thank you, Marianne. I feel heard.
Okay, I'll just cut in for just a second here. We've gone through a round. Everybody's had a chance to talk and listen. And one of the things that we try to do in the empathy circle is practice something called mutuality. So don't feel that you have to keep on going around in the same circle. So we like to do that. So we want to make sure everybody kind of has a chance to talk. We kind of keep a rough, sense of that. But then you want to talk to different people and stuff. And so that's encouraged too. So just to let you know, that's it. Okay, go ahead, Marianne.
Okay, well, I feel like having Eva be my listener now.
Great.
Is it Eva or Ava?
You can go with either, because I am part of different communities and different languages, so I have both are.
What did your mother call you? Your parents, your family?
Eva.
Eva.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very moved to hear Kevin, and I'm excited that you're here too, Eva. I love your book circle. I would love that. I would love that.
Come and join this Sunday.
So I'm responding to both of you. So and I'm suppressing the urge to fill Bill in on our situation here and to give him a little more information about the actions. But I absolutely share the desire you have, Eva, for having more empathy in your life and places of empathy, and I do too. So I'm looking for where can I do this, and for myself, I'm wanting. So part of this is a question that I have for myself. Is how much to listen to this? Is this a real need that I really ought to listen to, or is it okay to just go a little bit out on my own? But I would love to have another person here who would also like to facilitate, because then I feel like I could introduce something but not carry the whole thing on my own without knowing what it's going to be. So I'm in admiration of you, Eva, for offering the empathy circle into your book club, and maybe being the only person who has participated in empathy circle yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I share.
Can I
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
now? So there is this part I was really not able to get before I start. Like, the reason you want another facilitator is, are you talking about this current meeting, or I didn't understand that.
No, for my ideas of bringing empathy, like say to the people who are sitting downtown. Well,
okay,
that's too big. Or even
okay.
to the climate hub. I would like one other person.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, Marianne, I hear you were moved to hear Kevin and his perspective. And also I'm humbled to say that you desire my will to have more empathy in my life. And I appreciate that too. So
I share your
will. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, sure. So I don't know what kind of spelling thing I did there.
Okay, I just be sure.
And actually, I hear you that you are looking for empathy in your life, and especially I hear you caring about your own city and what's been happening there. And just like I am excited to have this empathy circle with my book club, where it's more like positive and welcoming atmosphere for me, so I can facilitate that. But I hear your concern about like who would be facilitating if you wanted to have an empathy circle in Calgary with the people who are how would I say, with decision makers. Maybe did I get that right? Like you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean it's That's good. And you're asking me to clarify my like my concern is that I want it to be a success.
Mm.
It's new, and especially if I think it's not an easy sell. It's an easy sell to me. Look at me, but I'm an unusual kind of person. So it's not the biggest easy sell, but I believe, like Bill, I believe in the process. I believe it's very powerful. I want people to have the experience of have the experience of it, learning through experience, but I want it to be a success. And if I'm the only facilitator, I feel like it's all my responsibility, and I don't know how big that responsibility will be. There could be 20 people, you know?
Yeah.
And so anyway, something like that.
Yeah, good luck.
Mhm.
Do I reflect back or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Marianne, I hear your concern, and I hear your hope. I hear your path that you know it's not gonna be easy in a way. So another person as a facilitator would be very helpful. That's what I hear. But still, you still have that power or fire in your heart that in a way you won't give up, and you know why you're doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thank
And
you.
what Kevin spoke to, it's very moving. It's I am also excited for our country to be there is considerable amount of reconciliation that is underway, not in the government, not reflected there. So people must be having all kinds of reactions, and wouldn't an empathy circle be a great place to feel it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm motivated or driven to establish connections with different communities to see if I could introduce such a thing.
Marianne, I hear you are in your heart, you hear what Kevin was talking about, and you are seeking, and you don't want to give up on peace, and understanding that there will be a general understanding of empathy in all parts of the country, not only the government. And I didn't take notes, so I think that I will.
Okay. So
Okay.
we're good about time. So any last summation, Marianne, that Eva missed that you'd like her to reflect?
Just that I think there's a certain amount of empathy that's already happening, but I would love to have the circle be a way of elucidating it, to be a tool for people to hear themselves.
Okay, you want to reflect that, Eva?
Yeah, you already are feeling the empathy, but I think you really would like to see it processed and bring more empathic thinking and actions into life.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
Thank you.
I share that too.
All right. Eva, who would you like to speak to?
I'd like to speak to you.
Okay, listening.
Thank you. So in order to really understand and process this empathic thinking in my heart, I was looking for times that I was lacking the empathy with my dialogues. Mm-hmm. And once still, this happened at one of the book club meetings. A friend was asking me about, because I'm from Turkey, Marianne and Kevin. So a friend was asking me about what's happening in Turkey with political issues and all that. And I directly told her that, well, obviously Erdogan is acting like Trump. And I started talking, you know, that blah, blah, blah talking. And then my friend she felt insulted. She looked insulted. And she said, Eva, you know what? I am a Trump supporter. Mm-hmm. And I really don't like it when you talk to me this directly about Erdogan and Trump all together. So I said, whoa. So obviously, I was not thinking too much of an empathic way there.
Okay. So as part of your kind of self-awareness, and we call that metacognition in special ed and things, you know, or mindfulness is another way people talk about it. You were seeing whether you know, looking at times when you're more or less empathic. And you cited an example where you were talking about the political situation in Turkey. You spoke about the parallels between Erdogan and Trump. And the person you were speaking to was a Trump supporter and then was somewhat offended. And you were thinking like, okay, you know, how might I massage that? Or how might I, you know, was that the most effective thing I could have said right then? Mm-hmm. You know, just looking at it and making judgments about it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, after all this happened several times. And now I am looking to find where I want to stand in while communicating with people. Is it really up to me to really make a decision if they are right or wrong? Mm-hmm. They might look super wrong, or they might look like they're on the wrong side. But I feel like I want to be in a part where even a person who has really opposite ideas from me, I want that person to feel safe with me too.
Okay, so you're talking about and really taking responsibility for your effect on other people, and you're trying to look past the way we label ourselves and try to interact with a person, whatever labels they may assign to themselves, so that they feel safe and heard by you. Mm-hmm. And respected.
Yeah. And I want to believe that that's possible.
Okay. And you want to believe that that's possible, but I hear a question in there. You're not quite sure.
Is my time up now?
You have a minute.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe because I am not quite sure about this. In an empathy circle, I kind of feel myself, I am missing the conversation if I have to reflect back. Mm-hmm. I still find myself like I am going too much on the agenda of answering. I want to get rid of that. I don't want to be thinking about answering. I think that's why I'm missing the subject or the feeling while I'm supposed to reflect in an empathy circle.
Okay, so you're feeling. I'm just about to come there. Okay, so you're doing some self-evaluation and self-improvement there, and what you're finding is that you're having a harder time to really pay attention and listen, and that's because you are creating answers and you're responding as we've all been conditioned to do, and so you're looking to really to do that less, and then be open more and not try to answer and just focus on the listening, and that's part of your personal growth.
I hope so. Thank you.
Okay. So, okay. All right. I'll talk to Marianne. Okay. So, because I wanted to, a couple of things that came up, and these are responses, and I just waited to my time. So you can always, like, if somebody asks a question, hold the question, reflect the question, and you can respond in your, your time. And then the other thing so the first thing I wanted to say is that it is a tool. That's one of the very important things that this is a tool. It's a tool, an excellent tool, I believe, but it's not empathy. It's not, we don't want to become like the empathy Nazis. And it's not the only way to, do this. You can read a moving novel. You can talk to a friend who moves you. You can see some art. And so all those are things. But this, and I will say, is an excellent tool. So I'll stop there.
So there are many ways to experience empathy. And the empathy circle is an excellent tool for that.
Right. And so one of the modifications when people want to get work done that I've heard is that, you can't respond to each other. So it's a tool, and it can be adapted. So like one good adaptation is you do kind of a check-in, a round or two of empathic listening at the beginning of the meeting, go on to an agenda, and then do empathic listening at the end of the meeting. Now, of course, you can also do that at just the beginning or just the end, or depending upon what the needs are. So it's an excellent tool that can actually be used with other formats to make them work more efficiently. I'll stop there.
So as a tool, it can be adjusted and used in different ways.
Exactly. And and what I see in I was a special education teacher for 40 years. And so I dealt with a lot of pathologies. And so my job was to try to create in the classroom a functional environment for kids who just didn't have that. I'll stop there.
Okay, and you worked for 40 years in special education.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh God, I got the last.
Sure. My job essentially was to make a functional mini culture.
Right. Yeah. So your job for 40 years was to make a functional environment for difficult
right.
people that have difficulties.
Yeah. And then the extreme end, suicidal, extreme. Violent, physically violent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And what I learned is through a lot of hard work and trial and error and a lot of mistakes, is that when you could hear, when the student felt heard, then the violence went down.
And you saw the effect of good listening on the student. This whole system settle. Right,
because that is a basic need. And what I've come to with this process is that we are empathic as much as we need air to breathe. We need empathy. Now, there are many people, I guess, who define empathy in different ways and things like that. But to me, what it means is that we find, as an individual, our greatest fulfillment in empathic interactions with other human beings.
Okay, the different definitions or ways to think of empathy. Mm-hmm. And for you, you believe that as humans, we find our greatest fulfillment in our empathic connections with each other.
Right. And I invite people, if they listen, and one of the great things about the circle is that you're giving the gift of 5 minutes to someone, a complete stranger. You're giving the gift of your attention to them for 5 minutes. And that is very profound.
Yeah, and the way you see it is this is a way of giving the gift of that empathic attention to one person, could be a stranger, for 5 minutes. It's a powerful
Right.
tool.
And yeah, and then overall, empathy, let's say broadly defined, is part of our DNA. As I've studied, as cells organize, they have to communicate. For, people say that we're savages underneath, that we have a thin veneer of civilization. Well, we've been around for about 4 million years. Humans, Homo sapiens, 200,000, 300,000. But for whatever you take that, for the greatest amount of time, we were not the top predator. So when our safety depended upon others, so much more than there's this savage thing to hit each other over with the head with sticks. We depended for millions and hundreds of thousands of years. If I saw another human being there, then we were safer, because we would, and that's what our civilization was built on, and that is very strong. We'll stop there.
So for thousands of years, we've been dependent on our connections with others to survive, which is a much stronger orientation of our whole cellular being than this idea of being a savage.
Right. And I see that. So for your friends, sort of like, who say, I have enough, this is, first of all, if you have enough, give it to somebody else, share it with somebody else. If you're really that good, commit like an hour. I mean, that's the point. That's where we're at. We're in emergency here. And then the next thing, so I for those who look, it's like, doing push-ups or basic running. It's like, if you're a fighter, you do road work. Again, probably a bad analogy with fighting, but you have to do road work, and that was part of it. You don't do the road work, you're not strong enough to do the fighting, or whatever it is. Or you have to do push-ups. And that's what I see this sort of is, like an emotional calisthenic that keeps us healthy. I can say that has improved my life and my relationships. And also, beyond that, when we share it with others, it's one of the greatest gifts I've ever experienced. And I'll stop there. I'm going on.
So what I hear you saying loud and clear, first off, it's an excellent tool among the experiences of empathy. It is a gift, and it's in our DNA. And hey, if you've got enough, you've got a lot, share it. And also, if you're a dancer, you dance. If you're an artist, you make art. If you're an empathic person, you practice empathy.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Marianne. I feel fully heard.
Okay, great. Oh, okay, Kevin. My turn, right? That seems so fast. Yeah, I very, very much believe Bill. I mean, I don't know why. Kind of do why our culture has a difficult time, but we're basically, it's true. We are our connections. So why wouldn't you want them to be healthy? Why wouldn't you want them to be good? And okay, what am I going to say?
Why don't you pause, let Kevin reflect, and then you can give you a chance to kind of.
Okay, very good idea.
You agree with Bill, and I lost my train of thought.
That's all right.
Really sorry about that, Marianne.
No
I have a little bit of sometimes a little bit of problem myself.
That's
because-
okay. I'm a dancer, so I can tell you something. This particular dance that I dance, it requires two people, and it's not based on physical cues. The more you learn it, the more it's inside. And so when the follower flubs up, it's often because the lead was like questioning the intention. And I was pretty kind of like this, so it makes sense that it was difficult to hear me. But the whole action of pausing and feeling you listened to me got me in touch with what I wanted to say. Now, isn't that a beautiful demonstration? I believe that so much, that the listening allows the speaking to come. So for me, okay, what do I want to say? Gosh, I hope I don't lose it. Yeah, two things there. Mirroring is really important to me. And what I'm getting from this time here with all of you is I can feel my rush, my kind of rush over places that I need to pause and listen in more. And when I listened to Eva speak, it brought something for me, which is times where I reflect back on a conversation and think, what went wrong there? Like, what? I suddenly wasn't really listening. I was like really trying to get my point across. So I didn't feel like I was really listened to. I was trying to speak, but I wish I knew in the moment to ask a question of where my listener is. Like, what's going on with them? Are they really with me? And I will make a couple points on that, or should I pause? Should I stop? Maybe I should let you talk. Yeah.
What I hear, Marianne, is that you appreciate the listening part of the empathy circle as much as you enjoy the speaking part of the empathy circle, and that listening in silence even helps put your own thoughts back in track and making sure that you're speaking your truth, I guess. Is that, am I correct there?
Yeah.
Help, Bill.
No, you are. It's actually getting me in touch with the quality of taking care of my listener. I can be worried about what my listener is going to think. I can interfere. That's not how I want to be. I don't want to be taking care of my listener's emotions such that I have to adjust what I want to say. But I do want to know where they are. Are they able to hear me, and am I allowing them to hear me and mirror me? So that actually triggered an idea. I don't know if trigger's the right word. It's not. There's an idea for the Extinction Rebellion. Would even just to hold, to ask people what comes to mind with those words, Extinction Rebellion. So instead of trying to tell them something or introduce them something or anything, find out where they're at when they just hear those two words. as an empathic design. Something. Yeah, I better let you. Was that our time?
Yeah. Yeah, when you hear that little thing, that's the time. But it's a soft close.
Okay.
I'm hearing you say, Marianne, that that it might be that, you know, using the term Extinction Rebellion followed with silence to see how your listener is reacting or reacts to extinction, just the term Extinction Rebellion.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And if it's my turn,
It is.
I'd like to say, who am I gonna? I'm gonna ask to listen. Ava, if you'd like to listen.
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
I feel that part of I'm relatively new at the Peace Circle, and I've started trying to use the way that it operates. I've tried to use it within my relationship with my wife to help listen to and to listen to learn what that person has to say rather than listen to respond, which I think is how a lot of us seemingly communicate on a daily basis, it seems. So
Can I stop you and do a little reflection? Kevin, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin, I hear you saying you are relatively new to the Empathy Circle experience, and you are, I guess, seeking your way on understanding the value of empathy and trying to put empathic listening in your daily life with your relationships and with your family and with your wife. That's what I heard until now.
Yes. But I've learned that within this format that I'm not very good at. It's very hard for me to relate what I'm hearing in a concise, beneficial way. I don't seem to be able to do. I wish I could do better at what seemingly my responses are, and this is I've noticed it in myself a few times, and I struggle with it because I'm wondering, is there something wrong with my ability to paraphrase? So I don't feel I feel a little. I don't feel very accomplished in that right now.
I hear you feeling not accomplished as you want to be on reflecting people's idea or listening and reflecting people's idea in an empathic way. And you are, again, seeking for a beneficial way to reflect their ideas. As far as I understand, you are having a hard time on maybe, should I say, updating or redefining your listening skills for empathic listening.
Yes, yes, that is, you are a very good listener.
I wish, thank you. Now you believe I'm a good listener. That felt good too. Thank you.
How much time do I have left?
You got a minute, a little over.
I'm sad for some reason. I don't know. I'll release my time. And thank you very much, Eva.
Kevin, thank you. I hear you felt a little sadness there for a reason maybe you don't want to share here. But this is a very spiritual experience. I've never witnessed this, but I do feel like your sadness too. Thank you for sharing that, Kevin. That's important to me. Do I go now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Marianne, would you reflect? Just like Bill was mentioning earlier, I collected a question, or I collected a subject from your conversation, wishing that I could ask, I could speak about that. I love the fact that you said, am I allowing my listener to hear me? And I want to focus on that idea of allowing the idea of the difference between allowing the listener to hear me and caring about my listener more than I should be caring. So how much of empathy is too much for my listener?
So you're really sitting with this question of how much empathy is too much when I am when I'm speaking in a way that allows my listener to hear me. Maybe I'm summarizing it too succinctly. But there were two things. You were touched by this question, am I allowing my listener to hear me?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also are considering that as different from if I care too much about my listener, how much of that gets in the way of them listening to me.
Yeah. Considering empathy is considering empathic circle is a tool to hear, and empathy is a way of understanding, a way of thinking. I'm now questioning, am I really able to feel the empathy in my heart? So what is really stopping me? Something is stopping me. Mm-hmm. And I am hunting. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Am I scared to feel too much empathy? I'm really in between, like, will I give too much empathy or too less empathy? Oh goodness, this is really about me.
Okay, so you're really searching inside for your own being with your own feelings of empathy.
Mm.
And wondering if you're not wanting to really, really be, or you're just searching inside yourself for what's going on with you. Are you trying to maybe not be with yourself as much as you could be in a given time? Is that right?
Yeah. Thank you. It hurts a little bit, but it's right.
Hurts me too. I feel it hurts, and I feel that too, Eva. I feel that as you're speaking it. A little bit of pain.
Yeah, I think I'm down for this part now.
Okay.
Thank you for listening, Marianne.
Oh, you're welcome. So it's my turn. And I don't know what to say. And I'm also feeling, maybe I talk to Bill. I'll talk to
Okay, listening.
I also feel worried. I'm demonstrating the overcare for my listeners. I'm worried that I'm wasting your time because I don't know what to say.
Okay. So you're kind of confused and feeling whether, kind of a little bit lost. Are you doing too much, too little? You're feeling, you got your knickers in a twist, as they say.
Well, no. It's not, if there
No,
was
okay.
something to be confused about, then that would be so, but it's more like, this is familiar territory. I have an opportunity to speak, to go inside and speak what's there, but it's not coming really fast. I don't know myself what's there. And then I start to worry, oh no, the other people.
Okay, I got it.
Time.
So you're thinking about really trying to be very authentic, and what you're feeling is there, but it's not quite clear to you. And then if you slow down, you're concerned that you feel that other people feel that you're kind of wasting their time.
Right. Now that sounds good to hear that back. And I feel a bit sad. And I can understand maybe my inclination or my pattern to rush.
So you felt good to hear that, and you're feeling a little sad, and then you're looking at a pattern you have to kind of rush things.
And something I'll say that I really, really value about these empathy circles, this tool in particular, is that it does slow us down without being painful.
So in considering this process, you really like that the empathy circle slows us down, and it's not painful, and helps for more contemplation.
And the space of listening, it allows that space of mirroring to happen, and kind of get out of the rush for airspace.
Okay, so it feels that there's space to talk and take your time and think and consider.
And to know I'm heard.
And to feel heard, yes.
So, I think, well, I guess what's on my mind is how listening really provides a space for speaking. Um, but in general, we're fighting for airtime to speak, and so nobody's listening, and we don't even know that we're like stuck in this mud.
So you're feeling you're kind of appreciating the fact that listening provides the space for speaking in a real dialogue, but that in the normal course of things, it's sort of we can't see the forest for the trees. We don't even realize, and we're just constantly projecting.
Yeah, like going to certain places of conversation, everybody is like waiting. You know, when are they going to get their turn, or rushing into the space, and there's not much actual conversation happening. So it's um, I'm wondering how to introduce something like this. That, you know, that's what I'm looking for. How to get to those places, some of those places. Like the Climate Hub has a social tomorrow night where they go and they talk about ideas. It's in a bar, which is number one. I mean, bars are so noisy. How are we going to hear each other? And yeah.
Okay, so you're dealing with the conflict between the kind of the norms of our society and how we usually do, and how everybody needs to, you know, kind of rushes in, with the contrast with listening. And when people are just rushing in with their own agendas, they're not listening, and so that makes collaboration difficult.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right, and so we see that in about 49 seconds will be pushed. Everybody sees that. I just want to say, I'll address all of you really quickly about the self-judgment. And if I tell you not to self-judge, then you'll feel bad for self-judging yourself. You see, that's the that's the way we're conditioned. So I just encourage people to have humor. If you're wasting time, it's 5 minutes. That's all. You could say, be quiet for like a whole time. It would only be 5 minutes. So, you know, care for yourself, care for other people. Certainly self-evaluate, but don't take yourself or anything too seriously, because we're all bozos on this bus.
Right? We create this empathic energy that just keeps going. Okay, and so for the other facilitators, you can turn off your video if you're remembering, just in case.
Recording.
You're recording, yeah.